Oh, I'm sorry. I'm reading the words wrong.
Yeah.
No,
Weren't we there?
to this day I bring my life, born of hope, born of sand.
Right. And then
It's yearning joy with the men go up on the help.
Good morning. Good morning, Joan. We're just going through rehearsals and things here. Joan.
Good morning, Dan.
We're just going through rehearsals and things here.
Yes.
We should be starting in just a few minutes.
Okay. I'm just on cue. Yeah. Good morning, Dan.
Okay. Just
Okay. I'm just on cue.
hi, Christine.
Hi, Dan. I'm driving.
I'll make you the co-host so you can.
I was just going to let you know that it's going to be hard for me to be co-host today because I am driving my granddaughters to.
Oh, that's okay. In that case, I'll just hang. I'll host after the service is over.
Okay. I'll be listening in. I'll be here.
Okay, well, that's okay. In that case, I'll just got a real delay here. I gotta mute you two services.
Generally, I post the order of worship in the chat. after everybody comes in and give us all some, and then post the donation button with a little, if you to donate, people can go online and do it that way. I was wondering, I want to look at the statistics today, is that, would it make any difference or not, but people seem to be appreciative of it, so. Nope, we'll take your problem. I'm going to mute myself.
Sorry.
And you can, most of the, they're in the congregation. And then you
Should have brought my headphones. Anyway.
whatever you like. It's totally up to you. Yeah. It's music.
Okay, folks, stand by. I'm going to switch over to our program.
That's the spirit of music.
What's the theme today?
The title of my service is spiritual life. So you can decide what you want that to be.
Just a nice shot of the front window.
That's what I said, definitely was cut down. I don't know if I need it.
Oh, there it goes. It's on. Oh, and you've got the
Have to hold down that button until it gets.
turn down. Hold on. Oh, gosh. Good morning and welcome to All Souls Church, Unitarian Universalist of Greenfield. My name is Andrew Baker, and I am delighted to be your worship host this morning. And we're grateful to have all of you here with us today, whether in person or online. If this is your first visit here, welcome. Sign our guest book in the foyer and let us know if you want to receive church notices. We're proud to be a welcoming congregation. Will those folks in All Souls leadership roles raise your hands so folks know who you are? Where are you? There's Kate, Russ. All right, Rob, thank you. You can also find information about All Souls Greenfield in the pamphlets in the pews and at the front entrance. And you can sign the book on your way out if you didn't on the way in to let us, if you want us to keep in touch with you. We have the great joy of coming together, and we want to make sure that everyone feels welcome here. So please look around in the four directions and greet those of you who are with us this morning. Welcome. All right. Well, now I'd like to invite everyone to center yourself in your chair and to breathe. Breathe deeply. Come into the room. Be present. Be focused. Be at peace. And in the words of the Reverend Kathleen McTeague, we come together this morning to remind one another to rest for a moment on the forming edge of our lives, to resist the headlong tumble into the next moment, until we claim for ourselves awareness and gratitude, taking the time to look into one another's faces and see communion. This house of laughter and silence, memory and hope, is hallowed by our presence here together. Let us take this time for quiet reflection as we listen in silence to the prelude. for that extra prelude. I forgot my sermon. And, oh, here's my button. Thank you. I'm coming all unbuttoned. Well, if I can invite my friend Rob up to light the chalice with us. And I chose these chalice lighting words because they're kind of a tradition for us. They go back to the words that we said when I first joined this church. So I thought I would read them again with you. So join me. We gather this hour as people of faith with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning, celebration of the life we share together. And now we're going to try something that's at least new for me. You can turn to, in your big book here, to number 7, The Leaf Unfurling. And we'll give this a try. Rob is going to play it through once so you can all hear the tune, and then he'll cue us up and we'll see how we do. You can rise if you like or stay seated. Now we've got one more hymn under our belts there. We can sing that with confidence next time there. All right. Well, I'd invite you to join together with me in sharing the congregational covenant that we have worked on together. In this house, we covenant with one another to create a community built on a foundation of love, to work together to promote equality, justice, and peace, accepting responsibility for our individual acts, to stand on the side of love, embracing the liberation of those who are oppressed, and working to end discrimination and unjust privilege, to communicate with kindness and support, and to serve with compassion and commitment, to listen respectfully and value our diversity as a source of our collective strength, to learn and grow together, generously sharing our time, talents, and treasures, to celebrate the joys of discovery from the wonder of youth to the wisdom of age, to openly share our laughter and our tears, showing reverence for the divine in all that is. And every week in our church, we take up an offering which gives us an opportunity to exercise the generosity of spirit that supports All Souls and its many ministries. We see this act of giving, of growing more generous in our hearts and in our actions, as essential to our spiritual well-being. We will now receive the morning's offering. Well, good morning again. Good morning. Spiritual play. What do those words mean to you? Toss them into your mental pond. Plink, plunk. Let the ripples widen. Feel them dropping down through the water into the rich black muck below. Feel them take root within you. Now begin the slow journey upwards. For some unknown reason, the word spiritual play bubbled up within me as a theme, a sermon prompt 9 months ago, though I did not know then when I would be asked to deliver on them. Now that day has arrived, and as it is the eve of Passover, I invite you to prepare yourself for a journey together with me into an unknown land, or perhaps, as we shall see, into the land of unknowing. I begin by introducing you to Nataraja, who you can see depicted on the front of your order of worship, our companion and travel guide this morning. For those of you who have not already met, Nataraja is an avatar of the Hindu god Shiva, manifesting the divine as the cosmic dancer whose energy moves the universe through cycles of creation, protection, destruction, embodiment, and release, all symbolized by the movements of the dance. Nataraja is also associated with corpses and the dances performed at cremation ceremonies. One could say much more. The depictions and stories surrounding Nataraja are rich with symbolism and spiritual insights. I was introduced to Nataraja myself only a few months ago by my brother Kendall, a sculptor who has studied in India. He pointed out to me that Nataraja is depicted balancing on or trampling upon the demon Apasmara, who represents spiritual ignorance. Kendall noted that if you look closely, the demon is looking upward, but cannot fully see Nataraja, who is standing on the back of his neck. Sometimes Apasmara is depicted with his eyes closed, sleeping or unconscious. Before learning anything further about Nataraja, my immediate intuitive response to the image was that the demon is us, you and me, and that our spiritual ignorance might also be called unknowing, or the unconscious ocean out of which our thoughts arise. Nataraja then becomes thought itself, consciousness, a symbol of our creativity at play. And just as you cannot be fully aware of your own awareness, you cannot see your creativity and be creative at the same time. If you look for it directly, you will not find it. So, Nataraja is one manifestation of spiritual play writ large. Hold on to that thought. Now, my earliest experience of what you might call spiritual play took place when I was about 5 years old. That experience also included my brother Kendall. Kendall is 11 months older than I am, so we traveled together through childhood, almost like twins, but with very different temperaments. The memory of this small, fleeting experience we shared bubbled up within me during my 9-month rumination on spiritual play. It was so strange that for a long time, I hesitated about whether to share it with you. Okay, it involves rabbit poop. One morning, Kendall and I walked out through the wet grass of our backyard in southern Connecticut to the large hutch where our 2 pet rabbits lived. The hutch was a big wire mesh structure on posts about 18 inches off the ground, with a long run and a small wooden cabin at one end for the rabbits to sleep in. Now, one curious thing some of you may know about rabbits, they always poop in exactly the same spot. Another curious thing about rabbits is that each one of their poops is wonderfully spherical, little round planets of poop. In this case, the confluence of those 2 facts resulted in a perfect pyramid of poop piling up beneath the wire mesh of the floor of the cage. Poops like little cannonballs stacked neatly on the courthouse lawn. Now, our response to this amazing sight was, inexplicably, to give a few of these poops a proper Christian burial. We laid out tiny, shallow barrows in the dirt, placed the poops inside, covered them up, and then marked them with small crosses made of twigs. And then we moved on. It was the work of a moment, done. What seems remarkable to me now is that this memory of early rabbit poop theology has remained submerged in my subconscious mind for nearly 60 years and has just now surfaced. What were those little boys thinking? Though I carry one of them within me, I cannot say. Apasmara. Looking back, I see two small boys responding to their mother's sudden death a few years before with an intuitive cosmology. Most religions have at their core a yearning to know what comes after death. Because our mother suffered from depression and died of a medication overdose and apparent suicide, her death was not spoken of to her children except in vague mystical euphemisms. Hoo-ha, you might say. It had happened in a far-off land. It was the early 1960s. Our Italian nanny who traveled across the sea to care for us for 1 year would tell us that our mother was looking down at us from heaven. But what did she know? She went to the yellow Catholic church downtown. We spoke with her in Italian then, a language that lies silent within me now. I think that our early cosmological instinct was telling us that death is an earthy thing. She is not up in the air. The body goes into the ground, like poop. We were off to a good start with our early spiritual play. 15 years later, I was studying philosophy in college and was introduced to the Freudian scholar Norman O. Brown. In learning about Freud's theories about infant anality, the early experience of pleasure and loss associated with poop, I learned in academic speak that there is a psychic association we make between shit and death. Something I had intuitively grasped at the age of 5, but had long since forgotten. Many of Freud's ideas seem overdetermined today. They remain in the culture now mainly as caricatures. But Freud had one big idea that still frames our ideas about consciousness. That is his concept of the subconscious, or the unconscious mind, as an abyss of primal urges and passions that lies beneath our rational thoughts. It is in some ways a modern remaking of a very old idea. His disciple, Carl Jung, took this idea and ran with it, discovering its ancient antecedents in the religions and mythologies whose symbols he saw repeatedly re-emerging from what he came to call the collective unconscious. Nataraja offers us one facet of a rich cosmology to those immersed in Eastern religion, but may seem foreign to those of us with Western Judeo-Christian roots. Jung discovered a rich trove of comparable symbology bubbling beneath Orthodox Christianity, an occult practice expressed in medieval European ritual and art as alchemy. Now, many of us carry around a caricatured notion of alchemy as a primitive and failed form of science performed by greedy proto-chemists struggling to turn lead into gold. But consider this. Some of the principal founders of our modern scientific tradition, Roger Bacon in the 13th century, and then Isaac Newton 300 years later, were also practitioners of alchemy. Today, we might think of this as science and pseudoscience being practiced side by side, astronomy and astrology, religion and heresy commingling. I prefer to think of alchemy as a form of spiritual play, a ritual ordering of the cosmos that they performed alongside their rigorous scientific experiments and empirical studies. In alchemical practice, the prima materia is that which precedes creative transformation, the primary substance, the base metals from which the philosopher's stone is made. To reduce the prime material to its essence is to find the nigredo, the blackness resulting from putrefaction and decay. In psychological terms, this is sometimes referred to as the dark night of the soul, the confrontation with the shadow, self, that leads to individuation and spiritual growth. Jacob wrestling with the angel. Bacon and Newton were scientists whose rituals of spiritual play put them in touch with the inner sources of their creativity. For me and Kendall, the prima materia was rabbit poop. It seems I have been carrying my mother around in my unconscious mind now for most of my 64 years. In 2022, a year before I began composing the sermon, I decided to bring her home to mark the 60th year since her death. I could not literally bring her home. She was cremated in Italy. So my brothers and I made a granite marker for her and placed it in the family cemetery plot in Cambridge. That day, September 10th, was my brother Kendall's birthday. The great novelist Isaac Bashevis Singer writes about a fear diaspora Jews experience. Not fear of death so much, but fear of being buried far from the Holy Land. The fear is that their bones will not be present on the day of resurrection, in the valley where the dry bones reassemble, knee bone connecting to thigh bone, and thus they will miss their chance to arise into eternal life. Singer writes that from this fear, a mystical tradition developed among some Jews in Eastern Europe, that after their death, their bones would travel under the grounds and slowly make their way to Jerusalem. My mother was not a religious Jew, but as the daughter of diaspora Jews, she does seem to be making that slow journey the long way around. Our ancestors traveled in exile from Palestine to North Africa and Spain, to Germany and Holland, and then to America. She has now taken the return leg from Italy to Cambridge, maybe next year in Jerusalem. My father scattered her ashes along the Via del Corso in Rome. The hands that scattered those ashes are now ashes themselves, lying at the bottom of the sea off the coast of Maine. This year will mark 30 years since my father's death. William Shakespeare gave me the words I have used to transfigure death into life and grief back into his inimitable form of spiritual play. Not mere words, but a song fragment that comes from the Tempest. Goes like this. Full fathom 5 my father lies, of his bones are coral made. Those are the pearls that were his eyes. Nothing of him remains, but doth suffer a sea change into something rich and strange. Some years ago, after the last of our 5 children left home, my wife Andrea and I began gardening. For me, it was a return to the practice of putting seeds in dirt that I had not engaged in since childhood. But the aspect of gardening I find most joyful and satisfying is the making of compost. Layering leaves and grass cuttings and kitchen scraps, the slow annual cycle of putrescence and decay, the quiet feasting of microbes throughout the long winter nestled underneath a pile capped with snow. To me, this is the purest form of alchemy, finding in the blackness, the nigredo, the astonishing vitality and aliveness of dirt. Compost reminds us that what is dead is also alive, and that the greatest human civilizations rise when we help build our paper-thin layer of living earth and fall when we deplete it. When I open my compost pile each spring, just at this time of year, there I find Nataraja dancing with the red worms, twirling with the centipedes and trilobites. But like Apasmara, I can see only a very small part of the dance. In the billions of microbes munching, creating, protecting, destroying, embodying, and releasing, there is Nataraja. In the vast empty spaces inside the atom where matter and energy mingle, Nataraja. And in the dark energy animating the most distant galaxy, there you will find Nataraja too, dancing on the edge of the black hole that swallows the stars. Beyond what we can see, beyond even what we can imagine, there's the fertile blackness of unknowing from which all things arise and return. We carry in our pockets a treasure chest of hard-won scientific knowledge that we can call up with the tap of a finger. And yet, there's so little that we truly, deeply know. I have come full circle now, from rabbit poop to compost, in 9 months and 60 years, and in and out of weeks and through a day to where the wild things are. This year we find ourselves not only on the eve of Passover, but also on the eve of Earth Day. So you have journeyed with me into the unknown, only to find yourselves up to your ears in rabbit poop. Welcome to my cosmos. Moses would be so proud. But enough about me. Where has all this spiritual play taken you? Have the ripples on my pond touched and overlapped with yours? Is there a seed growing in your rich black muck? Plink, plunk. May it be so. Now, in the spirit of tradition, I'd like to invite you to join with me in hymn number 64, which is one that some of you may know a little better than the leaf unfurling. It's one of my favorites in this book, and it's written from a poem by Robert Frost. It's called, "Oh, Give Us Pleasure in the Flowers Today." Now is the time in our service for sharing joys and sorrows. If you have a sorrow that needs the help of this community to carry, or a joy so great that you must share it, now is the time. You may share with the congregation, a microphone will be brought to you, or light a candle at the sides of the sanctuary. If you are sharing with the congregation, please note that this is not a time for personal or political announcements. We care for each other by being true to the purpose of this time. We also care for each other by our brevity. So please be brief. There will be an opportunity downstairs after the service for longer conversation. Oh, I'm sorry, not downstairs. We'll be right over here. Got to update our script here. And for sharing announcements, which we'll do after the end of the service. And it's a very great joy that we have today to have visitors at All Souls. During this time of joys and sorrows, we invite you to introduce yourself. While this is not required, we'd love to have the opportunity to welcome you. So now is the time for welcoming visitors and sharing joys and sorrows. And I'd like to begin by sharing my own joy, which is to say that my newest grandson is here among us, as well as some other grandchildren and children. So welcome, Milo.
Thank you. My name is Carolyn Bellany, and I wanted to just share a couple quick things with you. I've never been to this church before as far as a worshiping service is concerned. I have sung in this church. Many years ago, I sang in the Early American Singing Society, which was an a cappella group of about 10 to 12 people. And there was a person who used to go here, his name was Brown Houghton, and he ended up marrying a woman, Marcia Houghton, and they went to church here and then moved to the Cape. Well, this has been an interesting week for me. There's a hymn, I don't know if any of you know it, it's called For All the Saints from their labor rest. And I really believe there are many people who are saints here on earth, who show us by example how to live a good, decent, wonderful life, to enjoy life and to share and be concerned about justice concerns and all kinds of concerns. My husband, James Bellany, was 100% Scot, and he died 2 years ago, March 30th. We were blessed with almost 47 years of marriage, and we had a wonderful marriage, and I miss him every single day. But he lived to be 95. He climbed up Mount Washington, not rappelling or anything, just hiking up at least 8 times. And he was a Sunday school teacher in the Methodist Church, and a great teacher and a great man, and we were each other's best friends. Another friend of mine died this past week. Her name was Dottie House, and she was my kindergarten teacher. She was 97 years old, and I was in her second kindergarten class. And I remember back then you could have Christmas pageants in school, and my best friend, whose name was Mary, and I played Joseph. And Dottie lived to be 97, and she was truly a wonderful person and one of these people that I guess I could say again was one of these saints by example on earth. And I just want to share that with you. Thank you.
Welcome.
Hi, I'm Robin. Just wanted to share kind of a joy and sorrow that I attended a funeral for an extended family member who passed at age 103 last week. Her name is Eleanor Kaplan, and it was just really such an amazing tribute to a life well lived, and it was her time, so it didn't really feel like a sorrow, but just wanted to share that. Thank you.
There you go. There you go.
I'm Gary, and it's fiddlehead season. Picked 1.5 gallons already, and more to come.
My name is Karen Schaefer, and in the past I've talked about the joy of having support from family, and my sorrow is I might not be able to drive again, ever. But now I don't have that sorrow anymore because my daughter is moving out here, and she's a wonderful caregiver. I always would say, she's my smartest, most beautiful daughter, but she says, oh, I don't have much competition because I'm your only daughter. But here she is.
And welcome.
I am Tamala. I have a friend who's going through something right now with her preteen daughter. She just had major surgery on her back, and I just want to acknowledge that she is going through a lot right now, and I'm putting out a lot of energy to help her heal and her family go through this. The joy behind this is that she will heal and fulfill every passion of her life from here on out. But right now it's really hard for her and her family. So yeah, that is the sorrow that I'm sharing, and a joy. So thank you.
My name is Pam. This is a week of celebration. My oldest son turned 48, and the youngest one is turning 45 on Thursday. And I wanted to say a word for, this was a very courageous and meaningful service, so thank you very much.
I'm Rob. I'd like to start out by seconding that and lighting a candle of gratitude and hope. How many churches can you hear a service on perfect pyramids of planetary poop? My hope is that my daughter's loneliness will be a kind of spiritual compost. And my candle of joy is that Hawks and Reed was nearly full on Saturday when my friend Eric Phelps gave a concert. Eric has twice honored me by asking me to sit in on harmonica and twice forgotten to introduce me. So I was ready to run on stage, and sure enough, he started playing the introduction, never said a word about me, and I got almost to the second step of the stage when I realized it was the wrong song. And when he did get to the song, I got probably the most heartfelt and just deeply affirming introduction any human being could ever hope to get.
Hi, I'm Ellen. I brought my dog Lucy today, so we're trying to acclimate her to the environment. And I wanted to share what's happening with me. I really felt very kind of trapped, and I was trying to move somewhere else besides where I'm living, and I've been looking here and there and realizing and recognizing that that really isn't going to happen. And I decided, okay, I'm not moving, so I'm buying new furniture. And I spent the last 2 weeks in this process of buying some furniture. And it is amazingly complicated and weird. and stressful, and people keep trying to add things, and when you want to do this, and how price kept going up. I kept trying to bring it down, and so we've settled someplace, but I am finally going to do it. I'm kind of excited. So my mother's furniture is what I have now. It is 75 years old and big and heavy, so I'm hoping this will change things a bit.
Hi, I'm Molly, and I'd like to remind folks that on May 5th, and there's
All right, Annie.
So I'm Annie. Let me see. We'll start with, I guess, joy. I was singing yesterday with some friends for shutting down the power plant that's affecting the fish. All the waters up in Northfield. It's a wonderful thing to see so many people come forward. A couple of people that I know, I'm not going to mention their names, but it's hard to see them struggle. I went to visit them in the nursing home, thinking about them. I'm not usually this full with, it says sorrow too heavy to carry, but the separation of humanity right now, with the wars, families dying, it's really hard for me to see that happen, and then to see the people divided of what's going on there. No, I'm not finished. Two other things. Unfortunately, I saw the news today, terrible flooding in China, just a year's worth of rain in one day, and also the flooding in Dubai. And I also loved your sermon and the little poop balls, so thank you very much.
Hi, everyone. Just when I start talking. Anyway, my name's Isaac. It is a delight to be here with you all today as a visitor. And I'm excited to be here with my 6-week-old son, Milo. It was fun reading the service that Andrew became a member here in 1994, which is when I was 2, and had my naming ceremony, which I don't, of course, remember, but up here on this pedestal. And so fun to be having a full circle moment here with you all today.
Hi, I'm Maria, and I just want to say it's very joyful to see little spirit children here. Thank you for bringing them and sharing your best thing. And your sermon really touched me. I grew up in an Italian-American family. We had lots of rabbit poop. And I was often pushed into the rabbit coop and locked in by my older brother. I am happy to say I have forgiven him.
We share that. Well, are there joys and sorrows on Zoom to share, Dan? Okay. Well, I want to share one more, both joy and sorrow. This shirt that you see me wearing that I'm bursting out of here was given to me by my brother Kendall decades ago when he returned from India. And I think I've been thinking about him as I've been writing this sermon, as he's facing complicated brain surgery. And so I'm asking all of you to hold him in your thoughts, and we'll hope for the best. So let's light one more candle for all those joys and sorrows that we hold within ourselves, and we'll even hold the candle within ourselves since we've already lit it. Good. So end our joys and sorrows with a song that we all share together that's in the front of your hymnal, which is called Prayer to Friends. Come join me in it. Well, this is a service that I was going to offer you a benediction as a little anecdote or story about Bronson Alcott, one of our Unitarian forebears, though he never went to church himself. But I'm not going to take the time to do that because we're coming to the end of our hour. So Bronson started a wonderful experimental school and was the father of Louisa May Alcott, and his great contribution to the world of education was recess, because he believed that children should move around and be active rather than sit in chairs in rows. Even though he was spectacularly unsuccessful in most of the things he did in his life, by giving the world recess, he has contributed to the lives of millions of children. So I offer that to you, but in that spirit, I want to return again to a little song that we sang together when we had more children in church. So I'm going to sing you out to your own recess with this song. And you know it all. Go now in peace. Go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere you Now the postlude. Oh, we do the postlude after announcements? Postlude and then announcements. Yes, that's what I thought. All right, Rob and Brian. Now is your time.
Thank you, Andrew. My name is Molly Chambers, and I just want to remind folks that on May 5th, we're having our 20th annual Anti-Racism Film Festival. So I hope everybody can come. There'll be 2 films in the afternoon and a delicious meal by Kirsten Levitt from Stone Soup Cafe, and then another film in the evening. And there are lots of flyers there in the vestibule. So I hope some of you will be able to come. Thank you. Thank you, Andrew.
There's a potluck today. Everybody's welcome, whether you brought food or not. There's plenty of food. I hope you can stay and join community.
Hi. Today, in honor of Earth Day, there is a community cleanup for precincts 5 and 7 in Greenfield, but anybody can help clean up. And at the Green River School, between now and about 12:30, they're going to be handing out the blue bags and some work gloves. And please come on out and help pick up trash.
Hi, my name is Russ. I was your greeter out there this morning. If anybody's here for either the first time or you haven't been here in a long time, we have a guest book in the entryway that we'd really appreciate it if you'd put your name in there. If you'd like to be contacted about future events, leave contact information. Otherwise, just your name is fine. In addition to all those sheets that Molly mentioned about the Anti-Racism Film Festival, Andrew was good enough to bring lots of schedules for Pothole Pictures in Shelburne Falls, so they're all on the table there in the entryway. Help yourselves. Thank you.
Thank you, Rush, for that shameless promotion there.
There's also, I think, 3 dogs here today, so if you have not signed the book, just use your paw print. It'll work.
Oh, one more.
More in the continuing story about trees. I have a summary of Mumau's, no, I'm not reading it, thing, but I'm going to leave on a table. And also we have something new, which is an introduction to forest carbon, which is useful kind of paper. And we may or may not get around to doing readings of books, but many of us have been reading this one, which is called The Hidden Life of Trees.
Here, hang on to the book there. All right. Thank you all. Enjoy the potluck over here, and thank you for coming.